What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. A big
Mhm.
weekend to recap here. But first, let's check in. Mike, I see you in a Montreal Impact sweatshirt there. Big Impact fan there, huh?
Yeah, I bought this when Didier Drogba came to the MLS because that was electric. Not a long tenure, but he left an impact.
What was electric was his time in the USL with
Yes.
Phoenix Rising. Yeah, that was something to see him there. Nick, you went away from the MLS. You went to Celtic. Big Celts fan, eh?
Sure. My wife picked out a random jersey to buy me, and she said this one. So I guess so.
And there was and went a little Pulisic Chelsea alternate kit here
Yeah.
because that game was on crack today. So I felt let's represent it a little bit. And that is our first game that we will recap. It was Mike's featured game, Man City 4, Chelsea 4. For a second, I thought Chelsea was going to pull this out. For a second, I thought Man City was going to pull it out. This seems like a rather deserved draw since both teams played very well. Mike, if you had to give the win to one or the other in terms of who deserves it more, what do you say?
Chelsea, definitely Chelsea. They showed a lot of heart today. Um, Coming out against City is always a tremendous task, and they came out swinging. They made City look uneasy and not nearly as polished as they tend to. They took advantage of Jasko Gvardiol on that left side, kind of made him look like a fool. He played a really poor game,
Yeah.
and they scored 4 goals. I mean, that says a lot, but they also had a lot more chances outside of those four. They didn't defend tremendously well, which has kind of been the story all season. City put 4 on them. The first penalty, the first goal of the game, little soft. I don't really like that being called. Thiago Silva wins that header.
Horrible.
Yeah, and the Cucurella kind
Cucurella barely
He may
grabs
have
his
missed.
shirt.
say that again,
He
Nick.
barely grabs his shirt, and so like it's a
Right,
bullshit call. But when
the
the
smallest guy in
Saudis
the
own
field
you and you own the
against the
Premier
biggest.
League,
But
You
I
get those calls.
honestly, in my opinion, that you can't just grab somebody like that though and expect to get away with
Holland
it.
grabbed him first.
Right, you're grabbing the guy that's sprinting by you in the box with the
Holland
ball
grabbed him
coming
first.
in, but you're grabbing him as he's sprinting by to get in front of you, and you're grabbing onto him. That's going to be called. I don't think that's like Cucurella just can't grab onto a guy. Rather, but like if he thinks it's enough for the person to go down, if you're inside the box and grabbing a player that's running right for the ball, you're giving the ref the chance to do that, and I think it's just stupid on Cucurella's part to do that. Regardless of whether it's soft or not, it puts it in the ref's court. So I think it's a just a bad decision by him. Just have better positioning, get in front of him. Don't let him sprint across you or trust your other defenders.
He's stupid for doing it, but it was a bad call nonetheless.
I agree with both of those statements. But a very entertaining match to watch. Aside from Gavardiol not playing all that well, I thought Ederson had a pretty lackluster
Oof.
game. Um, his saves were he wasn't putting the ball out. The Nicholas Jackson goal in particular, it's a decent shot from Conor Gallagher, but he should be putting that wide of the post in a less dangerous area. Instead, he puts it right back into the six, and Nicholas Jackson has a tap in. Um, so poor performances from both of those guys. Ederson, who has been tried and true, phenomenal goalkeeper, and then Gavardiol really not looking great so far, and scary to see if you're a City fan after spending a world record fee, 100 million on a guy. So those are my takeaways. I love seeing Cole Palmer get that penalty at the end, goal against his former club, and I'm sure that does a lot for his confidence.
Yeah, I think in his head he was debating whether how crazy he should celebrate after that penalty against his former team with how big of a goal it was. But Nick, this is a young Chelsea team. Thiago Silva about the only one that has too much experience. Obviously, Raheem Sterling as well. But they seem to be showing some flashes of some good ball progression, movement in their attack, and have missed on just a few final balls, some finishing issues. But when it's starting to click or when things are happening right, they look like they are kind of starting to figure it out. But it is so inconsistent. Do you think that that's just down to the players on the field being super young, or is that the players on the field due to their talent level?
Um, I think it's some of not having the right players on the field. I don't think Nicholas Jackson's the guy. Although he's starting to score tap-ins, he wasn't doing that a couple weeks ago, so good for him. And you know, I don't know. I'm pretty impressed. More so, aside from like the players, I think Trace is right. Cole Palmer's actually looked pretty good. I think I mocked that transfer pretty hard when it happened. So that I
It seems strange.
looking
It
like
did.
I'm wrong. Yeah, looking like I'm wrong in that one. But I'm actually pretty impressed with Mauricio Pochettino. I think that's 2 games against 2 title contenders. I'm not even counting this Tottenham game. I'm talking about the Arsenal game, where I think his team looked like the better team. So it was pretty impressive. Like the team's adaptable. They run hard. Honestly, if anything, this makes me feel good about him. I still think the same about the squad. I don't love it, but obviously there's potential there. Um, it does look at City pretty different because they were fucking stretched like pretty consistently the whole game. Specifically, that midfield did not look great, and when they had that losing streak, it was Rodri's out. Well, Rodri is here today, and he could not keep up with the pace of play. Like he was getting outran, and when City has a possession, he's probably the best number 6 in the world, but like he was not like the wall that you want your world class 6 to be. So I think that's pretty concerning if you're a City fan, especially when like Trace was saying, like you're playing Gvardiol, a center back at left back. You're going to be pretty open to like these stretched out kind of play. So I thought, and I think it's crazy that Pochettino recognized that and was able to get a game plan in there that worked for Chelsea. So yeah, I still think that penalty is bullshit, but go figure. And I don't know. It's strange. I will say, I'll give him his flowers, but also fuck Pochettino because he was like criticizing Arteta last week, and then he went at the end of the match and yelled at the fucking ref, and got sent off, got a red card. So fucking hypocrite. Again, the ref had a bad game. Anthony Taylor's not great, but still, like you can't be having it both ways. So, fuck him. But happy as an Arsenal fan, happy with the tie here.
Yep, good result for Arsenal. Good result for the league in general. Makes it 1 point gap between kind of all those top teams with Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then Tottenham now 2 points behind. We will get into their game next, but before I skip to that, I do want to ask one question here that I'm kind of pondering here. If Chelsea, and I know Nico Jackson has been scoring some goals here recently, but obviously is not a top tier. If Chelsea were to bring in a name like a Victor Osimhen, that all these chances that they create that they haven't been finishing, if they bring in somebody like that, we all know that they like to drop a bag on a player. If they bring in somebody who's proven like that rather than a young player, where do you think that boosts them up to in the league, and how far can they go up off of a class signing like that when they're starting to create all these chances? And Mike, I'll start with you on that.
Ah, it's kind of tricky. Obviously, adding better players to the squad helps, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily the solution they need. I think some of their problems are more in that back line. Like, I don't like any of their center backs outside of Thiago Silva. I think Axel Disasi is just okay. They're obviously banged up a little bit on the outside backs with not having Colwill or Ben Chilwell. But the goals are starting to come. Having a target guy, maybe you get a few more, but they don't play heavy crosses. They don't play a whole lot of target play. It's a lot more dynamic, a lot more runs on the wing, a lot more shots from the top of the box. So I would look elsewhere. if it was my decision.
Yeah, I think
Nick?
we're being a little. I don't think they missed like that many chances today. Like I don't think that's the issue today. They have been throughout the year. Don't get me wrong. And Osimhen is going to make a team like this better, or whoever you bring in, because they're just class players. But I don't think that the problem really was like finishing chances. They scored 4 fucking goals for God's sake. Like let's not act like they missed just a balloon of chances. 2 games in a row, by the way, they scored 4 goals. Which say what you want about the Tottenham one, but still 4 goals. So yeah, I don't know. I think I Mike is convinced that this midfield has potential to be world class. I don't see it. I think that's really where their problems lie. I don't see really a creator. I don't see someone who like can consistently control play unless you think Enzo's that guy, which maybe, but so I don't know. I think Mike is right. A lot of their attack comes through the wings and stuff. Sterling's playing pretty good ball right now. Shout out to him. And if you have Cole Palmer also starting to play well, all of a sudden like you're a pretty dynamic team going forward. So I don't hate it. Obviously, they're gonna spend more money soon. Maybe it's for a striker. I would look elsewhere, but um, I'm also still too wary of Chelsea consistently putting out performance like this, um, to really consider them a threat even in the back half of the season for like a Europa League spot or anything like that.
I want to harp on that a
Yeah,
little bit
I
more,
think
actually. I think instead of a
what you're
striker, maybe
saying.
you look at that attacking mid or 10
Yeah, they don't
position,
have
whatever you
anyone.
want to call it. Right. They have
They
Connor
have
Gallagher
Nkunku,
running it right
who's
now.
injured.
Gallagher
Yeah,
is,
that's true. If Nkuku's back healthy, I mean, he's going in there. He's levels above whoever's closest competition is.
but they
And
play him as a striker, don't they?
he hasn't played for Chelsea yet, has he?
In the preseason, he was all on striker, I believe.
He doesn't know.
Okay. Well, maybe. But
I
I
saw
think
him
the
play in the
natural
summer
fit would be
series.
put him
Yeah, I
under
mean,
the
he gives them
striker.
flexibility there, I think.
Dude, but like to me, Conor Gallagher is like Eddie Nketiah for Arsenal. Like he's just not. He's never going to be good enough, and like he can
I
be
don't
one of
rate
your
him.
own, and he can work hard and whatever.
Yeah,
But
I think he's a plug for the hole there rather than a
yeah,
solution for it.
yeah. So I don't. I think there's other problems. Honestly, I'm starting to believe less and less in Moises Caicedo too. He's just very over aggressive in the midfield, bro. He does not understand. Yeah, and he could add this to his game, but I think he takes too many chances in transition and then ends up leaving his back line pretty open. Which he's like a great athlete, so it works a lot of time for him, and he's powerful and he can run. He actually progresses the ball pretty decent too. Um, but he takes too many chances, I think, to be that lone six, if that's what you're looking for in the midfield. So
I think that comes
I
down to
don't know.
immaturity. I think he'll figure that out.
Yeah, but he's just yeah, maybe. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the kind of player to me, but yeah, there's other places to improve, I think.
I think also playing in front of Thiago Silva, you're gonna learn from him screaming at you if you're fucking up and leaving them exposed. So he's not going to go without learning lessons here with somebody that experienced behind him. But like we said, this does open a closer race for the number one spot because of this draw and Man City dropping those 2 points. Tottenham now, though, is 2 points behind them. You'll ask what happens. They lost to Wolves with 2 goals. 2 goals after the 90th minute, after they were leading since the third minute for the entire game. Obviously, they did not have Madison. They did not have uh, really a whole host of players due to injuries, red cards, etc. But nevertheless, you'd expect them to win this. They have not been great in recent form. They have 2 losses in a row now. Obviously, both kind of helping contribute to the other. Mike, we already know what Nick is going to say, but what are you thinking of Tottenham right now? They have these injuries, not going to have Madison back to the new year. 2 games dropped in a row. Maybe not alarm bells ringing yet, but is it maybe a dose of reality for them that maybe they aren't quite on the top as they might have thought with everybody healthy?
It definitely is a dose of reality. And I think the biggest realization is, wow, we are really not a deep squad. We're really screwed when we're missing the guys we depend on week in and week out. Neither their starting center backs, don't have their starting left back, don't have two of their four most important attacking players. They're really strapped right now. But that being said, it's kind of poor game management. They're up a goal, and they're up a goal all the way until stoppage time. And then they let one go in, and they're not comfortable seeing out the tie. And then another one goes in, and guess what? You walk away with 0 points, which is really tough, especially when you're in a game that you should win. And the top of the table is so tight. So big dose of reality for them. Wolves continuing on good form. What a way to get it at the death. What do you think, Nick?
Dude, I've been on it for a while. They're overly reliant on two players. Now, some of their other players have surprised me. Van de Ven has been really good this year, so missing him today sucked. Romero's a wild card. You never know what the fuck you're gonna get with him, so I don't think that one hurt them as much. But just the lack of bodies at some point hurts. So they're very reliant on two players. One of them's gone, and the other one not enough to get you a win against. By the way, we talked about it last week. I think Flags asked me like, "Is this a place where we think Wolves can get a result?" And I said Tottenham should win. The way Wolves are playing right now, I don't know. They're a fucking good team. This is a dangerous team to go up against. Gary O'Neill's got them humming. And like that, I'm telling you, this front three is dangerous. That Pablo Sarabia goal, oh my god, the technique to bring it down and
Fucking
then hit it on
banger.
volley, that was beautiful. So I mean, just
Bro,
shout out to
it's like
Wolves
watching a
first of
movie.
all. Yeah, dude, seriously, it was great. So a great goal. And Tottenham just showing their true colors. This is Tottenham heritage. This is who they are. They're not serious. They can have patches. They can play well. They can get results even. They're not a serious team when it comes to contending for titles. So, do I still expect them to finish top four? Yes, I think they're better than every other team behind them. Um, but those two guys are out for like 2 months, Madison and Van de Ven. And as the squad gets smaller, usually you pick up more injuries because you have less and less bodies to rotate. So, um, I said if Son or Madison had a bad dip in form, well, in this case, it's not form. They got injured. Madison did anyways, and Van de Ven gone as well. So, um, it's definitely concerning. Big Ange saying mate 40 times, it's doing nothing. 2 games in a row that they have managed the game poorly. Um, but I guess he likes to attack, so good for him. Um, yeah, it's. I think Palmer, if you could pull that tweet up, their next 4 games is like I believe they play Man City and then Man City, Villa, Newcastle, West Ham. Those are some tough games in a row to be playing with less than healthy squads. So, and Romero will still be out for at least that City and Villa game because he had 3 games, right? So, um, yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna learn a lot about them before Christmas.
Yeah.
Richarlison out too. I think he just had surgery, so at least a few weeks on recovery. So yeah,
For sure.
another one.
For sure.
One of our previous episodes was called Depth Wins Championships. A lot of that was made about Liverpool and how they would deal with their depth and if they could win a championship. Obviously, just as applicable here to Tottenham, they're losing their
No,
depth
it's
and
not.
they're losing
They were
points.
never championship contenders, bro. Shut up.
If they have everybody healthy, the way they were playing, I don't think you can say that. But like we said, depth is the important thing. You end up losing players like Madison, like Richarlison, like they have like 5 players out right now. You lose players like that, and you don't have depth to replace those with quality people that can step up. You're going to be losing points. This one, I don't think they should have lost points. It was poor game management. You're up 1-0. He has a very, very aggressive style and to just keep going at games. It's worked in certain situations. It does not work here. Wolves get the win. Good for Wolves. But finally, we
Rest of the
move
league.
on to our favorite team to talk about. It is Manchester United. Nothing convincing in a 1-0 victory versus Luton. And I was saying to you guys before this podcast started, Manchester United have not won a Premier League game by more than 1 goal since last year when they won 4-1 versus Chelsea under Frank Lampard, who's now coaching in League One. Is that correct? They are the least convincing team possible. Yet, in the last 5 games, they have more points than Manchester City. They are sitting in 6th right now. Mike, they're not playing well, but they're getting these results. How is that fire under Eric Ten Hag's seat continually getting hotter, but they keep getting points?
They're kind of doing the bare minimum, is how I see it. I think we did skip over a certain other team in red that we can come
Yep.
back to after this, the gun show.
Biggest fucking Tottenham dick sucker. God damn. It's
But
ridiculous.
going back to Man U, I mean, look at these games they've played. They beat Sheffield by a goal. They beat Brentford by a goal. They got killed by Man City. They got killed by Newcastle. They beat Fulham by a goal. They beat Luton by a goal. They win the games that they should win against the lesser opponents, but at very tight margins. And that usually is they find one that somehow goes in, and the teams they're playing against don't have enough attacking prowess to put one in. You're right. There's nothing convincing about the play. The points are one thing. I think if they get into a stretch where they play better teams, maybe 3 weeks in a row or 3 out of 5 weeks, whatever it is, we'll see their true colors and the points will reflect it because they won't get the results. Um, the clearest evidence I have is you look at the Champions League midweek, taking that loss against the tiny Copenhagen. Credit to them, but come on. Money, investment, players, manager, everything points in Manchester United's favor, and they still don't get it done. So nothing convincing here. I don't really give any credit to the points they have. It is the bare minimum.
Nick, 6th place in the Premier League is nothing to scoff at. Obviously, many teams are striving to be very good, and a lot of teams have been playing a lot better ball than Manchester United and still find themselves below 6th place. If you're an owner, if you're Jim Ratcliffe, who's just buying 25% of Manchester United and will be giving kind of these decision powers, you're in 6th place. You're not sure if you trust Aston Villa. Are you settling for a 6th, 5th potentially if results keep coming squeaking out, or are you trying to become Manchester United and kind of get back into that conversation with those top four that are what I think are a different echelon than teams below them right now?
I don't think Man U is in the same echelon as like Newcastle and Brighton right now or Villa. Like I like they're six because they're picking up points, barely picking up points against teams that are just not playing good football at the moment. So I this if you're Manchester United, like this is one of the biggest clubs in the world of like all time. Like the standard is set and it's fucking high and you're way below it and no, you're not settling for 5th or 6th place. Are you kidding me? Like that's embarrassing as hell. If you're this new owner coming in, you're spending all this cash, you're not doing it to get into the Champions League. You're doing it to get to the fucking Premier League title, win Champions Leagues. Like that's the mindset that Man U has to have as a club their size, with their history, with their heritage, everything. And you just don't see it right now. Like it is a dog shit team, and honestly, like kind of a media circus club. So they're down bad. I actually think today was one of their better performances as of late. They actually, I think, deserve to win by a bit more. But I mean, it's Luton, and you still only won 1-0. Like Marcus Rashford can't buy a goal. It's ridiculous. So it's again, the performance was slightly better, but I mean, it's Luton. I'm not going to give them any credit for that. And 3 points, I'm not going to give them credit for that shit either. So congratulations. I'm pretty sure they have Liverpool and also Newcastle and also Villa coming up soon. Again, we're gonna find out who this team is by Christmas, and honestly, I think we already know what this team is. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. I it's so deceiving if you're just looking at the table, seeing them in 6th and how they're playing. It's another game that they don't get one multiple goals, but another game where it's a CDM or a center back or an outside back that's getting their one goal of the game that puts them in front. The attackers are just such a problem. They're not producing at all. There's not that much production from anyone. But there is a team in red in the Premier League that is producing. In fact, there are multiple, but the first one we will get to even got a red card to match their jerseys. It is Arsenal, who won 3-1 over Burnley. Pretty expected result here, but they got the job done with a good amount of goals and just put a little frosting on their cake. Fabio Vieira got a red card just to say, "Fuck it, I'm getting a little extra vacation after the international break." Nick, what did you see from Arsenal here, and what did you like for them moving forward?
Standard. I think you said it. Standard 3-1. I call it 4-1. Honestly, I think they could have gone that fourth if they didn't shut it down after Vieira got sent off. Which, by the way, I mean, what a stupid tackle he did. Um, and yeah, Leo Trossard putting his body on the line for that first goal. We were obviously pressing them the whole game, but we had a hard time breaking them down in the first half. So him getting that goal before halftime was huge. And then the immediate response to the equalizer just shows how serious of a club we are now. That would have rattled us back in the Unai Emery days. So, um, it's a good result. 3-1. Happy with it. Alexander Zinchenko with an absolute beautiful goal on a scissor kick from the top of the box off corner. Two goals from corners, something we didn't do on against Newcastle, which cost us, despite the awful refereeing, obviously. So this time making better use of our chances. I was proud of the performance. Sucks for Vieira, honestly, because we have a thick slate of games coming up. Obviously, after the international break up to Christmas, Premier League gets hectic. So, um, sucks for him. He's been playing well. I think this year has been overshadowed by some other players. So he's not going to get his chance for a little bit, but deserved red card. So shout out to Arsenal, and shout out to your boy Flags, this Koliesho kid on the left wing. He was
Good.
yeah, dude, the only
Fun.
player doing anything for Burnley. He was a problem. Even against Tomiyasu, who's probably one of our better 1v1 defenders, honestly, if not our best 1v1 defender. He got the better of him a couple times, which led to the Brownhill goal. Yeah, that was all Koliesho. So if we can get him in USMNT, I'm down. He's pacey. He is bold with the ball, tries things. He's a real winger. So good player, but good result for Arsenal. Just class. That's what it was.
Yep. And Mike, as class as it was for Arsenal, spells a lot of disaster for Burnley. They sit at the very bottom of the table with just 4 points. The other teams around them, although not impressive, Sheffield and Luton have shown a bit of life. Sheffield obviously just getting a win and a draw in their last two. Luton have been able to find some results scattered across in terms of draws. Burnley has just been consistently not showing up. Are they going to go down guaranteed? Now, they don't seem like they've had much fight. Would you give them the least chance of staying up?
I don't see it. I think they go down. But that being said, I thought they fought pretty well against Arsenal. They attacked well. Arsenal has too much class. That's what ended up winning them the game. But they attacked well. Like Nick said, Koleosho was pretty dynamic on that left wing and super involved in the goal. It's a little bit of a fluky goal, takes a deflection, but that comes from the press and having so many guys near the box. Um, but they just really cannot defend. They concede goals, like they're giving them away. And like, yeah, do I think they could finish again ahead of Luton or Sheffield? Yeah, I could see that. But I think Bournemouth will just have a little bit too much for them to surpass. And the rest of the teams who are anywhere near the bottom are miles ahead of this Burnley team.
Yeah,
I will
I
say
think
before we wrap up, no Ben White, no Odegaard, no Jesus, no Timber, no Party. A lot of people missing, first team players missing for this Arsenal team, and this is what championship contenders at least are made of. We had pretty strong lineup despite all those injuries, and Ketia, by the way, also out. Say what you will about him, but it is Burnley, so he probably would have had a field day. So yeah, this is the kind of team that has players to step up, where some neighbors in North London maybe fucking don't,
Do
and have
not.
been frauds and have been told that they have been frauds all season. Whereas a certain podcast has not listened to me calling them frauds, But it's nice when I'm proven wrong. So shout out to those lily whites over there being the pussies they are.
You can't
I
help
like
yourself,
Trossard in
bro.
the center. I think that's a good spot for him.
Dude, him and Saka, he scored 6 goals this year. Saka's assisted all 6 of them.
I heard that. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
One away from the record, which was Ozil to Giroud at 7. We'll
Yeah.
see if they can break that here. But going to another team in red that scored against a team that starts with B, it was Liverpool smashing Brentford. The Bees are no longer buzzing. They have been broken. A lot of Bs there. Mohamed Salah with the brace and Diogo Jota to cap it off with another goal to make it 3-0 here. We were talking about how this was not going to be a trap game after a draw last time out for Liverpool. They certainly came out strong here. Big 3-0 win versus a surging Brentford team. Mike, is this the bounce back that we expected from Liverpool?
Yeah. Yep. And apart from these 3 goals that they had, Darwin Núñez had 2 that were offside, marginally, just by a toe or a shoulder. So it could have been more. Brentford attacked a lot. They took a lot of freaking shots, but none that were super convincing, none that were at close range. They kind of settled for outside of the box, which put Allison to work, but nothing super scary. And this is a rotated Liverpool side as well. Missing Robertson, obviously. No Alexis McAllister in the midfield. No Gravenberch. So they were had a few other dudes mixed in. Simikas on the left back, he's been playing pretty darn well. Had at least 1 assist today, maybe 2. And then Salah doing his thing. Pretty standard. I'm really liking Darwin Núñez this season. He has stepped up like tremendously. And not just this game. He's shown it several times throughout the season, but athletic beast because he is. His link-up play is seemingly improved quite a bit. His little one touch and then a little pass to Salah on the first goal, really well done. And if they continue to link up like that, they're going to be a serious contender.
Yep. And Nick, another multi-game goal for Mo Salah. Obviously, there's a lot of great players in the Prem. Is Mo Salah the most dangerous attacker in the Prem at the moment?
Not only the most dangerous attacker, he's the best player in the Premier League. Let's not get it fucking twisted. He is.
I like that.
The output that he has had this season, but also just the past like 5 years. Like this man is ridiculous. The front 3 changes, but nothing changes about him. You know what I mean? Like he is a fucking certified bag man. He is nutty. Very very good player. And
Real
I
bad.
mean, it's crazy. Like you have absolutely zero qualms whenever he has a scoring chance. Like, yeah, that's going in. You know, like it's not even a get excited. It's like, okay, that's a goal. Like that. That's all it is. So really, the only way to eliminate him is like getting someone who can man mark him literally the entire game. Which is what Tomiyasu did to him last year. The way that we were able to take him out in one game that we played, in the first game. So I feel like that's the only way, but even then he can still get the better of you. He's not like he's become I think more of like a finisher, almost like a Ronaldo on the wings kind of thing. Not that he's Ronaldo, that's not what I'm saying, but like he's not really taking people on 1v1 as much as he used to.
Yeah.
But I mean he definitely still can, you know what I mean? So for my money, I think he's the best player in the Prem. And when you have the best player in your Prem and you have all these other really good quality players and surprisingly even some pretty solid depth it turns out in the midfield. Um, this is a team they have every bit the chance to win this league as I think an Arsenal does, and maybe just slightly below City. So, yeah, great team. Bees, sucks. They're not buzzing.
They're not buzzing, but
He's got
honestly, I
swatted.
think
Winter's coming.
it'd be tough for them to get a result in this with a Liverpool that's looking to bounce back, and obviously, like you said, Mo Salah in the form of every season because he does this every single season. He is just been wildly consistent. But like I said, some pretty crazy form. But also some crazy form for the Merseyside rivals of Liverpool,
Yes, sir.
Everton, getting a big 3-2 win versus Palace. I was honestly going to be okay with the 2-2 draw and Idrissa Gana Gueye getting the winner in the 86th minute for Sean Dyche and crew. Boys, Everton has been on some really superb form. They're at 14 points. They're just 2 points behind Chelsea, Wolves, Brentford, teams that we've been talking about as really surging up in high quality. I think they're starting to prove themselves among that level rather than the relegation battle that we saw them in at the start of the year. Only one loss in their last five. Mike, what did you see from this one that you like to see? I mean, it's a run of great form here.
The game plan, dude, and we fucking stuck to it. The goals came. We didn't have a whole lot of chances. We didn't have the ball. There was one period in the first half where we did pass it around quite a bit. Had it for an extended period, maybe minute 30, 2 minutes, something like that. But we were okay giving up a majority possession and playing our game plan, sitting behind, letting Eberechi Eze kind of do his thing because he was dangerous. He was dribbling
Good
at
player.
us. He's a very good player, super strong player. But he didn't hurt us too bad because we had guys who were willing to stay with him in the midfield and a back line that was not going to bite. Um, I'm so impressed with James Tarkowski in particular. He is a fucking phenomenal center back. Really, really strong, really smart play. 1v1 defending's great. Leadership's phenomenal. And he keeps the back line in formation next to a young guy like Jared Branthwaite, who is also a good center back, but has some to learn. The goals were well taken, and we responded well. Substitutions were well done. Yeah, I was really, really impressed.
Nick, it seems like a lot of teams have been somewhat on their way down in form, and Everton have been on their way up in form. Where are you seeing Everton in terms of a finishing position with kind of the dips and rises that we've seen across the league?
I like them better than the bottom three, obviously. I like them better than Bournemouth. I like them better than Fulham. I like them better than Nottingham. I like them better than Crystal Palace. I think I like them better than Brentford. I don't know. That one's hard. That one's close.
Damn.
I think like they're right behind Wolves to me in that table. Like them and Wolves. Wolves feel like a little bit of a cut above right now than them, but they feel like the leader of the pack of everyone below. I
Best
know
team in the
Brentford's been
league.
playing well. Maybe it's recency bias because Brentford just got shit on that I think they're better than Brentford. But fuck, I mean the team is playing well. Up the Toffees, they're playing incredibly. Like Mike said, they're sticking to their game plan. They're playing hard. I like them better than Crystal Palace right now. I think those two teams are really similar, kind of how we saw this game. And with Elise coming back, we're obviously gonna see what levels they can rise to. Um, but I mean, guys, 6 weeks ago we were talking about are they gonna be able to beat these promoted teams?
Right, right.
We
We've changed the
are
script tremendously.
yeah, bro. They're comfortably mid-table. And I'd still be pretty surprised with a top 10 finish, but I think it's within reach.
I
Yeah, I
think
think
we
a
lack
stretch goal.
a little bit of attacking talent to
A little
aim
bit
that
of
high.
creativity.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dominic is a fine striker, even a
He's a
good
good Premier
striker.
League striker.
Yes, he's a
Yeah.
good Premier League striker, but he can't do it alone. He's not that player. He's not going to beat guys off the dribble. He's a presence in the air, in the box, one touch, two touch, link up play. That's what he's got. And Jack Harrison is pretty solid. He does his best. Dwight McNeil as well, but they're sort of one dimensional. Dwight McNeil in particular is only ever going to cross the ball in or look to pass back. He's not beating guys off the dribble. That's just not his game. Um, and that's where I see in Crystal Palace, they do have a few guys who are super talented. Eze and Elise coming back, who are really dangerous on the wing, Eze in the center, with their dribble play, with looking for a shot. So I would like to see a little bit more there. My one gripe about this performance is seeing Beto being subbed in because he really just fucking sucks, dude. I'm not a fan, and he really provides nothing. I put Danjuma in, dude. Give me something better. I don't know.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Beto's getting in, but I think he's just a big physical presence where you can boot it up there and waste some time. but a huge result for them. And another result against a pretty decent team. Obviously, last week they drew against Brighton. This week we said Brighton would bounce back, and boy, did they not. They drew versus Sheffield. It's a string of good results for Sheffield, getting a win, their first win, and now a draw versus Brighton. But for Brighton, this continues a terrible stretch of form. They've drawn 4 of their last 5. They haven't had a win in their last 6 or 7. They're sliding down the table and sliding closer and closer to the middle of the table where we thought they were going to be challenging for those European spots right up there throughout the entire season. Seems like they've taken a bit of a drop off of that pace. How concerned are you about Brighton and maybe dealing with the European schedule, the depth, things like that? Nick, I'll start with you.
Yeah, very concerned, extremely concerned. And this is what happens when a team that doesn't have the resources that other clubs do qualify for these European League spots, they get stretched, and we always talk about a depth, but fuck, I mean, Brighton does not have it, and they're still playing pretty football. But I mean, there is just no excuses for this one. A stupid red card, easy red card, dumb tackle by Dahoud. He tried to like keep playing. I saw that Deserby was upset after the game. I'm not sure if it was about the Dahoud red card or some sort of other decisions that went against him. I didn't watch the entirety of this game, but I don't know. Regardless of it, Sheffield 1-1. That is a bad result for a struggling Brighton team. Shout out to Fati for getting the start, but I mean he played well in midweek. Did not play the best this today. Adingra was the only guy really doing anything. I mean, just look at this team: Lalana, Billy Gilmore, who Pascal Gross at right back. Like, ugh, I don't know, man. This a well coached team, but you know, it's just not happening for them at the moment.
Mike, do you think this is a case of depth really being a huge factor with that European schedule, or do you think it's a bit more of people have figured out De Zerbi's tactics of chasing in so they can then counter?
Uh, I think it comes down to depth. I mean, they're obviously missing a bunch of guys, Stupinian, Lamptey, Marsh, a bunch of dudes who would most likely start. But also, is De Serbi just not taking this game very seriously? I mean, Matoma's on the bench, João Pedro's on the bench, and he's relying on like 18-year-old Buenote and Adam Lallana to be part of this attack when he's got João Pedro and Cairo Matoma ready to go. Maybe it was a rotation thing. He thought he could rest a few guys against a weaker side, but it didn't work out. I thought it's weird to put Ansu Fati up top in the striker position when that's not his natural spot. I mean, he could do it. He didn't play all that well there. But he doesn't belong there. He belongs on the wing or he belongs under the striker. That's his best spot. So I think it's a mix of a poor squad to put out when you are looking for a result and some issues with squad depth.
Yeah, I think the rotation, whether it be over rotating or just the issues with fatigue setting in, Brighton have a problem on their hands and need a response. Another team that maybe didn't need a response, but we're certainly looking for one after a disappointing weekend, was Aston Villa. They get their response though. They won 3-1 versus Fulham. Fulham gonna have some disappointments after their loss versus Manchester United last week, and then a big loss this time. But they will have Raul Jimenez getting his first goal in 600 appearance or 600 I think days it was since his last goal in the Premier League. So yeah, appearances would have been a little crazy. The second I said that, I knew that was a little off. But yeah, 600 days since the last goal for Raul Jimenez at the club level. Good for him. He gets one. Maybe that gets him going to where Fulham can see some goals going in. Aston Villa get their form back. They are sitting still in fifth place, 4 points above sixth, and just one behind that fourth position. Guys, Aston Villa has been a bit of a roller coaster, but now is kind of knocking out results. when they need to. Are we thinking that they're a pretty shoe-in spot for a European placement here? Mike, I'll start with you.
I mean, they should be. They're still inconsistent. I mean, last week they showed it again. Um, they should beat Fulham, and they did. So good for them. I still think they're better than West Manchester United. Newcastle would be the one who I would definitely put a cut above, who are near the top right now. That's how I see it. This is a good win, a pretty standard win. Um, yeah, I like them to finish in a Conference League or a Europa League spot. I really couldn't say where. It's going to be somewhere in the 5 to 7 range.
Nick, we've said it. Newcastle, maybe Brighton should be above Aston Villa multiple times throughout this season. Those two, especially Brighton, have obviously struggled. We'll get into Newcastle's game this weekend after this, but Aston Villa has, although it hit some hurdles, has stuck with those top teams in the league. Is it time that we put them above a Newcastle, Brighton, Manchester United in where we see them? I think Manchester United might be a bit of a given, but in terms of maybe a Newcastle, do you see them above their level now?
No, no, I don't. Newcastle very injured at the moment, which is a real thing. I mean, that happens, but they should be getting dumped out. I think it looks like more likely of the Champions League soon. So, and honestly, looks like a fourth place finish, so not even Europa League. Um, so I'd be unsurprised to see them pick up form in the second half of the season. Uh, so no, I don't think we can say that Aston Villa is a shoe-in for a European spot. But I think we can call them the favorites. Maybe I still like Newcastle better. Um, if Manchester United can pick up any sort of form, maybe they're. I mean, they have 21 points playing absolute horrible football. So,
You also have to
yeah,
remember
I definitely
Newcastle's
like them better than
playing.
Brighton.
You have to
I definitely
remember,
like them better than Brighton.
motherfucker. You have to remember Newcastle's playing 12 men too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So Uh, it's interesting. Villa's a good team. I would like to see them to stay close to Tottenham, just for the end of the season to see what happens. Um, but to call them a shoe in and even to say that they're gonna keep sticking with these top teams, that might be difficult.
Yeah, I think there might be a gap starting to be seen there, but I've just clocked this, and I think it's pretty fucking funny. Is that Manchester United has a -3 goal differential. The two
13
teams
goals
around them
scored.
are have a +12 and +14, and sandwiched in the middle of that is Manchester United with a -3 goal differential, finding themselves somewhere somehow in sixth, uh, and finding the team right below them with a +14 goal differential. Did not get that goal differential helped out this weekend. It is Newcastle. They lost to Bournemouth, a Bournemouth team that very badly needed this result. Not just a win, but a 2-0 win with a brace coming from Dominic Solanke here. Mike, you've been a Solanke supporter throughout the season, mentioning his name a few times. Bournemouth getting a big win here. What does it say more about? Does it say more about Bournemouth's chances of staying in the league, or does it tell us a little bit more about Newcastle maybe not having the consistent performances to challenge for those top four spots, or maybe fifth even?
It says a few things. Congrats, Dominic Solanke, my second favorite Dom in the league, behind DCL, of course, but quality striker nonetheless, and similar attributes. Uh, the first thing I'm going to say is Newcastle's squad is just beyond depleted here. You have to look at that starting 11, and they're missing 7, 8 starters. I mean, depending on who's playing on a given day, but no Botman, no Byrne, no Gramaish, no Tonali, no Isak, no Wilson. Like the list goes on and on. Miggy Almiron gets injured early in the first half, so another one to add to the list. Yeah, dude, the list goes on and on. It's crazy. But that being said, Bournemouth seizes the opportunity. They could see that, okay, Newcastle's depleted here. We're playing at home. we have a legitimate chance to win this game. They take it head on. They put 2 up on them, and it's a pretty comfortable win. They played some good ball. And yeah, I think it does help with their chances and a little bit of confidence that they will stay up because no, they're not playing well. No, they're not getting a lot of results, but they know the 3 teams below them, they outclass on almost every week.
Yep, absolutely. And Nick, you were a cherry, then you weren't a cherry. Are you back to being a cherry now?
Oh shit! Don't tempt me, boys.
Flip flop,
Damn
flip
it!
flop.
Don't tempt me,
We are
cherries. What
so
you
bad.
doing to me?
Come on, Ben.
No,
Come on.
no. I told myself no. No. Cherries suck. This is karma from footballing gods for last weekend for Newcastle. They got what they deserve for stealing 3 points against Arsenal. So no, cherries are bad. I'm gonna keep saying that to myself.
You guys are
What about
enablers.
Sinistera?
Yep. As
What
a
about the
Liverpool
Columbia?
Cherries are bad. Do not talk to me about this.
Luis Sistema. Yeah, Bournemouth, much needed result here though. They get 3 points clear of the newly promoted teams in that relegation zone. Honestly, might not need an extreme amount more to keep a gap because those teams have not been getting points in very quick succession. It's taken 12 games for Luton to get 6. That's their closest competitor. So maybe they're safe for another 5 weeks here until Luton can get some more points. But moving on to our last game to recap here, it was West Ham, a team that has been struggling mightily with their form. 3 losses in a row. Coming into this one, we're down 2-1 in the 63rd minute. And oh, is that boy, Jared Bowen, Nick's guy, coming back with a goal to move it to a draw, and then Suchek to win it in the 88th minute. West Ham get their 3 points. That stupid Greek goalkeeper that took Matty Turner's job. You can just go ahead and suck it. 3-2. Nick, are the hammers back? Are they back to hammering here? Is it hammer
No,
time?
but it is not hammer time. It might be Matty Turner time for Nottingham. I think you're right, but no, they didn't look that great this game. Good win, Jared Bowen with a nice header. Something else he can do apparently. This guy can fucking do it all. But no, I think we have a better idea of what West Ham is, and that's this current team. You know, the very much the best of the rest. And if Brighton fall, then they're kind of best of the rest with Brighton. So I still like him a lot. Shout out to getting 3 points. Fuck Nottingham for not starting Matty Turner. That's probably what cost them the game. So I like West Ham. Shout out to you. Good win. Really good game actually. So up the hammers, I guess.
Yep. Mike, still getting 3 points here, West Ham, but they've slid down the table quite a bit recently. I'd imagine by the end of the season they slide down a little bit more with teams like Chelsea and Brentford that seem like they have a little bit more form underneath their wings, potentially sliding up. But do you think this is the West Ham that we're seeing is around this 10-11 spot, or do you still believe in that West Ham that we saw at the start of the season that could potentially challenge with a Newcastle and Brighton?
I think this is about right. I was a whole lot more bullish on them, supporting them, like what I saw early in the season. And I said we talked about it last week. Like West Ham needs to get a result to prove they're legit here. They did, but they didn't do it in a super convincing fashion. The goal they scored early, I'm like, okay, maybe this is it. And then they concede 2, and you're like, holy shit, West Ham's going to do the same old thing they've been doing the last month. They responded well. But that being said, Nottingham's not a super strong team, and this is West Ham's best 11. If you look at the guys, they're not missing anybody. That is as good as it gets. The midfield's there. The attack, that's their starting back line. So there's no other magic cards to pull out of the hat. This is what it is. I still think they will finish top half of the table. I feel pretty confident about that. I like them a little bit better than even Brighton at the moment. Not by much, but just a bit. But like you said, Chelsea and Brentford close on their heels. Wolves as well. Even Everton. Everton with the result against them. Don't forget this. So if there's a little mix-up with those teams sitting, let's say 8-13, 8-14, yeah, that would not surprise me at all. I think there will definitely be some change.
Guys, what team do you
Yeah.
like better right now, West Ham or Wolves?
Wolves.
Like,
Okay.
who do you? Maybe not
Think
based on form, but just who do you think finishes higher in the season? Like to me, it was a clear West Ham early. Now I don't know, bro.
I think it was a clear West Ham. I think I still take West Ham just off of quality. I think they have more talent, but I don't know if I truly believe in West Ham to do that.
That feels like they're level though, right? Like West
Yeah,
Ham
it seems like
and
they're pretty
Wolves.
similar at the moment. At the moment, at least. Obviously, they can change, and West Ham could find their form again. But
Hey, shout out to Paqueta. That goal was a fucking bang. Oh my god.
I I you know what? That's kind of an interesting one. West Ham top of their group in Europa, so they're going to continue playing in another competition which stretches them. Wolves don't have that dilemma. Um, yeah, I give the nod to Wolves right now, just how they're playing.
I like Gary O'Neill better than David Moyes. I mean,
I agree with you on that.
that's big.
David Moyes, the Europa Conference League winning manager,
It's true.
Sure.
he
And
did
mess
that
with
from
the
like a
silverware.
16th place position last season, like fighting off relegation and winning a European trophy in the same season. What
Priorities.
a guy that David Moyes is. But that is our final game that we had to recap here. And that means we move into our U.S. men's national team corner, and we have some sad news. Christian Pulisic, who was injured, will be out of the international camp versus Trinidad and Tobago, a home and away in Austin, and then obviously I have no idea where in Trinidad,
A month later.
but don't think they're going to be needing him that much. People are coming in some good form. Malik Tillman just scored a goal after a beautiful combination with Serginho Dest for the 4-0 victory for PSV. And
Sausage.
then the U17 World Cup just started. We started with a 3-1 win versus South Korea. Maybe we win a World Cup for the US here. And then the roster was just released for the Trinidad and Tobago games. And it begs a question with no Timmy Weah or Christian Pulisic. What do you play the team as? And I want your guys' opinions here. Do you go for a 3-5-2 with Pepe and Balogun up top, and you keep Gio Reyna centrally? Do you move Gio Reyna out wide and supplement a Brendan Aronson or Kevin Paredes? Or do you keep Gio Reyna in the center and just replace both those two wing players with a Paredes, a Brendan Aronson, Paxton Aronson, whatever it may be? Nick, you're nodding, and it looks like you're cooking something there. What are you going for if you're the bald man in charge?
Dude, these games mean nothing. Fucking like you gotta keep that 4-3-3 or whatever the hell he's playing
These
with
are the qualification for the Copa America, so they do
dude, it's
certainly mean
Trinidad and
something.
Tobago. These games mean like if you can't beat Trinidad and Tobago without these two guys, you're in far deeper trouble than anything else. So I think you got to keep playing Rain in the middle and do your formation. Just it's a chance for other people to step up. Don't mess with the tactics. You know, like when he gets away from that like central 10 and four at the back, that's when Berhalter's been absolute shit. So um, I I would keep what it is, keep it going, let Reina cook, and give some young guys a shot. Or like you said, Brendan Aronson, he can play on the wing fine. He'll be a good player there. He runs up and down, will be an option. So don't don't move Reina out wide for the love of God, and just what's been working, keep going. Because you're not going to play a 3-5-2 against important teams. And if you are, then that's a big fucking mistake.
Mike, are you thinking similarly or the same? And Jesus Ferreira left off, even though he's the Pirate of the Caribbean. Scored a hat trick against them in the Gold Cup. What do you think of that snub?
Poor Jesus. No, I don't really give a fuck, dude. Get out of the MLS if you want to be taken seriously. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. He's a good enough player to go play somewhere else, so fucking do it. I think I agree with Nick. Leave Reyna in the center because he's our best attacking outlet, our most creative player, and that's where he'll be most effective. And then, yeah, put Brendo on the right wing and Paredes on the left, or kind of whoever you want. Experiment with it a little bit. This is kind of blessing in disguise. I'll paraphrase here. Yeah, it sucks to miss Pulisic and Weah because those guys are phenomenal. But you have a chance to see what your other talent is, who is legit, who could step up for you, who could sub in the 70th minute and make an impact. So give these guys a chance on the wings, see what they have. Don't limit them. If it doesn't go well the first game, then maybe experiment a little bit. I would like to see Pepe and Balogun play together and see what they can offer. They, I mean, both play the same position. Balogun's quite a bit more technical than Pepe, but I don't know. I'd be interested to see what that partnership looks like.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting concept, 3-5-2, because it does have two very attacking outside backs for that potential. But I agree with Nick. Just keep it simple, stupid method for Greg Berhalter. You have something that works. It worked with MLS players and players that aren't close to the actual team in the Gold Cup to a 6-0 victory versus Trinidad and Tobago. Not time to switch it up. Kevin Paredes just got his second straight start for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. If he can start there, he can certainly start against Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly.
But we could have a Luka Koyosho on the wings not too far in the future. Greg Berhalter was asked about it in his press conference, and he said that he is in constant communication with him, and quote unquote, we will see what happens. So maybe another recruiting win for Greg Berhalter on the trail here with these dual nationals. He is just going crazy with the recruitments. And that is what we'll leave you on. A little teaser for the U.S. men's national team before we close it with your least favorite segment. It is pour one out for, where we pour one out for either positively or negatively for somebody this week. And Mike, we start with you with a great figure we have talked about here on this show. Mike, take it away. Who are we pouring one out for?
Pouring out for the main man, Cole Palmer, with a big set of cojones on him. Big balls, Cole Palmer. That's his new nickname. Hell of a match against his former side City, where he didn't feature a whole lot. He was a substitute player, and that's kind of what it seemed like he would be the rest of his time there if he remained at the club. Great opportunity with Chelsea, where he can get some minutes, start, and score a penalty to tie his old side in a all-time thrilling match. Pour a little bit more love on Chelsea. Outstanding performance today. Some fucking grit, and none more so than from this man right here.
Absolutely. Huge penalty for him. If he would have missed that, that would have been something that stuck with him for a while, I'm sure.
I
But
like
some
the Selly
sweet
too.
revenge on the team that was not giving him as much faith as Chelsea was. Nick, who are we pouring one out for on your end?
I'm gonna pour one out for Ralph Macchio and Jaden Smith today. Both who are Karate Kid actors from the past. Unfortunately, in any future remakes, that role is already taken by one Alexander Zinchenko with an absolute beautiful karate kick, scissors kick goal in today. Banger. I mean, he's ready to go. No stuntman needed. So pouring out to those guys. They might be looking for work elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't know how to spell that.
Yeah, Zinchenko had a hell of a goal. Producer P was struggling with figuring out the spelling of Zinchenko,
I was
which
gonna
I
go
do
for it, and
not.
then yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, no, I respect the caution on that one. I will be pouring one out for underdogs because if you look at the top of the farmer leagues,
Hooter dog.
the Real Madrid and Barcelona dominated La Liga. You look at the top of that table, it is not dominated by Real Madrid and Barcelona. It is Girona sitting on 34 points, 11 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 13 games in. They are 2 points clear of Real Madrid, 4 points clear of Barcelona. They are part of the City Football Group. So they are starting a bit of a dynasty, that City Football Group. But 34 points for Girona, hell of a season for them. But that's not it for the underdogs. You go to the league that Bayern Munich wins like clockwork, and Leverkusen, 2 points clear them at the top, and they have not lost a game yet. 10 wins and only 1 draw. 31 points through 11 games. They are absolutely buzzing under Xabi Alonso. Pour one out for them. They are breaking up the monotony of a one horse race in these two leagues, or two horse race, and I guess La Liga. But hats off to them. They're absolutely killing it. And Palmer, you are our last pour one out for. Who are we pouring one out for on your end?
Yeah, so mine has nothing to do with football. I'm a UFC fan a bit, and I happened to watch exactly one fight. I would like to pour one out to my poor man, Pat Sabatini, uh, because for the single fight that I watched, he got fucking smashed by a dude with the worst mullet I think I've ever seen. And it was a fucking rough go for this guy. I don't even know the other dude's name. Diego Lopez. Yeah, that guy fucked him up, and he looked horrible doing it. So that's just a tough break for my boy Pat here.
Come on,
Put
Pat.
that out there. Poor Pat, man.
That is certainly a tough break, and yeah, that mullet was not looking too.
It's dude. It was like silky smooth and way too long.
That's so sick.
Name
gives off the vibe that he would be rather annoying as a human being. So
Yeah.
I can understand your frustration with that one.
Aside from the mullet, he looks absolutely terrifying.
Dude, he was fucking. He walked in. I was like, uh-oh. He was fucking. He's shredded, bro. There's another one of him over here. Wait, where was it? That's a good one. I don't know, dude. He's a bad man with a bad haircut. You know.
Bad man with bad haircut. He keeps everything on brand.
That's right.
So that UFC segment will be the end of Footy with the Boys. There's some kicking in UFC, so it all counts.
Yep.
Until Tuesday, we have a lot of things to preview, so stick with us. And we will be previewing games like Manchester City, Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, and Tottenham, Aston Villa, along with the main event of Everton, Manchester United. You will not want to miss what us Toffees have to say about that and where our expectations are, because I promise you, however high you think they are much higher. But you'll have to listen on Tuesday. We will see you then. Peace.
Deuces.